Yo, what's good everybody? In this video I'm going to be showing y'all how you can make your hard beats a lot more efficiently. So I'm just going to be showing y'all a method that I use regularly if I need to churn out a beat really quickly, or if I'm just feeling a little uninspired and I want to get out of some beat block. This is a great way to do it. And with that said, let's jump right into it. We're just going to start off with our blank project here. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to go up to the tempo and we'll start with something in the 160s. Let's go 164. And the first plugin I'm going to open is Analog Lab. And for this, I'm going to go to this bank right here. I've been using it a little bit recently for my dark beats, and I just want to pick up a dark and ambient type of sound, so let's just start running through these. Alright, even though this is labeled a synth bass, I think I'm going to use this sound. Right now the key that I've been using a lot for making my dark beats is C# minor. I'm going to put that in the ghost notes real quick so y'all can see where I'm placing my notes. So we'll go here, C#, copy it up and down 1 octave. If you've seen my last video when it comes to dark beats, you'll know that I like using a lot of these notes that are right next to each other. So the 2nd and 3rd note in the scale and the 5th and 6th note in the scale. All I want to do right here is make a pretty quick and repetitive pattern. Alright, so I like this as a basis. I'm just going to copy it over and just see what it sounds like for a 4-bar loop. This is kind of cool, but I feel like it would get repetitive if we extended it to an 8-bar loop. So what I'm going to do is just take this lower G right here and move it up 1 octave. And so let's just see what it sounds like right now. Simple, straightforward. We're literally only using 4 different notes from the scale. The 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th notes, and then just switching that little octave every other measure. Now that we got the 4-bar loop, I'm just going to copy it over for the full 8. So now I'm going to take it and route it to a mixer track. A quick way to route to the mixer track is using Control L. And if you have multiple, say for example I wanted to route the sampler, you hit Control Shift L. So this melody by itself sounds pretty decent, but for this method, I'm really going to be centering the entire melodic part of this beat around this one melody. And so I really want it to fill out a lot more space. And so a good plugin to do that is Portal. Call it overused, call it what you want, but for this use it works pretty well. I'm just going to go through some of my presets. I think I'm going to use this Silbon kit from my boy Loop Legend, and I'll just keep going until I find one that I like. I like this preset right here. It adds a decent amount of texture to it and it doesn't overdo it. Pretty much what I was looking for with this. I don't think I really need to edit anything either. It sounds perfectly fine to me. I noticed that there's a little bit of a delay, or like the grains hit a little differently when it comes to the overall bounce. I'll just end up rendering the full 8 and then just chopping it if I need to. Right before I do that though, I want to add an EQ and just roll off the lows, because I do plan on making an octave down version of this and I don't want it to be too bassy to the point where it interferes with my 808s and all that. Alright, so that's good. And since it kind of bleeds out at the end here, I'm going to select 10 measures instead of 8. That way it doesn't just cut off. And to render this clip out, I'm just going to go into the mixer track and go to the bottom where this little white dot is and turn it red by clicking on it and then hitting Alt R, go on song selection, cut remainder, and then hit start. And so now we have the full audio clip for this. So the bounce changes probably once every 2 measures or so. So I'm just going to split it up like this, and I'm just going to see which of those little grains, the sections where we're getting those little high pitches, whichever one aligns with the beat the best. I'm just going to keep this section and just loop it. The second one sounding like it's the best fit, so I'm just gonna move all these up and just mute them and just loop this one, and then I'm gonna double click on this and change the declicking mode to generic, change the mode to stretch so it stays the same length. And like I just said, I want to make an octave down version of this, so since this is a loop, it's pretty much just the same 2 measures over and over again. So I'm just gonna make a second version of this that's unique, And so I'm just gonna hold Shift V and then left click and drag a new clip over here. And you may not have seen it, but that created a new clip that was unique. So I could put this an octave down, and it's a little different from this one. If you don't have the FL24 update, you can just copy a clip over and then click on the top left and hit make unique. It does the same thing as the little shortcut that I just did. And so for this, since it's on stretch, what I'll do is change the pitch range to 12, and I'm just gonna pull it all the way to the left so it's an octave down. We've got our two sections here. Now all I want to do is just make one counter melody, maybe two, and that'll be it for the melodics. All right, so for this next counter melody, I'm gonna open up Electra, and I've been using this HZE bank, so I'm just gonna start off with some sounds and just see what I like. I kind of like this. It's like a texture pad type of sound. So with this, I'm just going to put down a pretty basic counter melody because we already got a lot with that faster and repetitive first melody. This is what the whole counter melody sounds like just by itself. So I'm gonna take this and route this to a mixer track, and I'm also gonna route those other two to the same mixer track as well, just so we have it here. I wanna add some effects to it. I'm gonna open up some RC20, start off with this Lush and Crunch Guitar 2 and see what I can do with it. I think that's all I want melodically for now, so let's just start adding the drums, and if anything comes to mind, we'll just go ahead and add it later. So let's grab some basic drum sounds. Alright, so let's just keep this real simple. I'm just going to start off by putting down my snares. Alright, so now go to the hi-hats and right click on it, fill each two steps, and go through and throw down some hats. Now that we got our first two down, I'm gonna go through and put down some 808s. As we established earlier, this beat is in C sharp minor. For the most part, I'm just gonna be using C sharp, maybe an octave. Maybe I'll use like the 5th note, G sharp, something like that. So that's cool, but I feel like that little end transition is gonna get old, so I'm gonna clone this 808 track, mute the other one for now, and I'm just gonna make an alternate 808, and I'm just gonna go to this channel, hit Control C and Control V. For the most part, this one's gonna be pretty similar. I think the only thing is I just won't have this at the end, or it'll just be a different variation of it. Alright, so this is cool and all, but I'm getting a little tired of hearing it in the same key. So what I'm gonna do is go to the master real quick and put on some sound shifter. And I'm just gonna play around with the pitch a little bit until I find a different key that I like. I might just stay with this one, but I feel like changing it. I'm gonna move this up by 2 half steps to D sharp minor. I'm just liking the way it sounds, and I've kind of got like a Future the Wizard type of vibe from this. I just feel like that just fits the sound a little better. So I'm gonna go first to my audio clips, double click on these, move the pitch up to plus 200. Same thing for the other one. In the channel rack, I'm gonna take all of the components where the pitches of the notes actually matter. That's gonna be the counter melody and then the 2 808 patterns. Select those and then go to transpose selected, and I'm gonna do plus. So moving up 2. Now our beat should be fully transposed. Alright, so I'm rocking with this. So far, you can see that overall this process is pretty efficient. We're just keeping everything simple at every step. And the main key is to just take each of these little components and just do a lot with them. For that first melody, we had it take up a bunch of space. 1, it was already a faster pattern. And then 2, we put that portal on it and that added that grain texture that we needed. And we only added 1 counter melody to it. And that counter melody takes up a lot of that melodic space too. And then same thing for the hi-hats and the 808s. We didn't do too much with them, but just enough to where it has a decent amount of complexity to it and the beat's not too boring. And so real quick, I'm just gonna throw down the open at. Alright, so now that we got the mix done, all we got to do really is just arrange it and maybe add some sound effects, but I think I'm just going to go with the theme of this, just keeping it real simple. What I'm going to do is go up to the top left here where it has our pattern clips. Right click on this and hit split by channel, and now we got all of our different clips here. And so what I'm gonna do is select all these using shift click. So just choose either the top or bottom pattern that you want, shift left click, and it selects all of them, and you can just drag them into the playlist pretty easily. And go ahead and control click these and hit delete to get rid of them. Now our arrangement should be pretty straightforward because we don't really got a whole bunch of different layers and all that. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just empty this out, and I want to start the beat off with the lower octave and probably just that by itself. And then when all the drums come in, we'll switch to the higher octave and the counter melody. Our hook's gonna be 16 measures long. So we got our intro here, which is 8 measures, and then our hook here, which is 16. And to switch it up a little bit, I'm gonna take out the second Electro X. Also, before I forget, I'm gonna go through and turn both the 808s back on, and I'm just gonna alternate between the patterns throughout the beat. So it's just gonna be the first one, second one, just keep going back and forth. And so after our hook here, I'm gonna bring back this lower melody and then also bring back the counter as well, and basically just repeat the same process but with this lower melody here. So I just kind of have a basic structure where the verse is basically just the same thing as the hook, except I just put the melody an octave down. So I think after this, I'm gonna copy over that low melody and copy over this right here. And probably just repeat the whole thing. And one last little touch to the arrangement that I want to add is go through to the ends here and cut out this little bit of the hi-hats and the 808, just so it transitions a little smoother between these 2 sections right here. So again, going down to it, simplicity is key. You want to have 1 core melody. You can throw it an octave down if you'd like to. Throw a little counter melody, some basic drums, but do a lot with your hi-hats and 808s. Also, if you want to add some snares, you can too. I just forgot about it. And if you just have this one type of method, you can definitely put out a lot of beats in just one day. Like if you really get the method down, I've made up to 10, 15 beats in one day just doing this. All right, so that's gonna do it for me. I appreciate all y'all for watching. As of yesterday, we just hit 16,000 subscribers, so thank you very much. Hoping y'all found this pretty helpful, and I'll see y'all in the next video.